Hey everybody, welcome to a Wednesday edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. I'm sitting next to a comedian known as Fig and another comedian known as Talent. You all have got to know their resumes by now, two Def Comedy Jam favorites. And of course, these guys' resumes are a whole lot longer than just Def Comedy Jam. But anyway, being that the show's called Box Seats, we got to talk about, obviously, Box Seats sports and with a little bit of comedy. So, I have some things to talk about with you guys first. And before I even jump into, something that I wanted to talk about, the news just broke maybe 20 minutes ago, maybe 30 minutes ago, that Chicago Bears all-time great Gale Sayers passed away, running back. He played for 7 years. He really played for 5 because in the last 2 years, he only played 2 games and everything else, but Gale Sayers was, way before a lot of people that we know of how great they were. And of course, there's not as much footage as we like on Gale Sayers, but this is a pretty bad moment, obviously, that Gale Sayers passed. Talent, what was your first thoughts when you heard that Gale Sayers passed away?
The first thing I thought of was Brian Piccolo in the movie Brian Song. Because he befriended him and Brian Piccolo got so close, his fame superseded the actual regular player's fame. Because that became a big story. Obviously, they made the movie Brian Song about Brian Piccolo and his relationship, played by Billy D. Williams.
Right.
If you haven't seen Brian Song, I advise everybody to see that. That's a classic. You should not live this life without seeing. And that's the first thing I thought of.
Right. First thing you thought of?
Yeah, man. And let me tell you something, man. Every time I see the movie, man, I watch it. You know what I mean? And tell him what you didn't tell him is, if you watch it and you of a certain age, get your tissue. Yes, I'm trying to tell you, it's a tearjerker. It's a good movie, but it's a tearjerker.
Yes, sure is.
When Billy D. Williams said, "I love Brian Piccolo."
Yeah. It's definitely a tearjerker. It's definitely one of those movies that's one of them iconic top 100 movies of all time. It's definitely up in there.
Absolutely.
And now to change the subject a little bit, I heard also late last night, first thing this morning, something else, and it seems like every week we're talking about the same thing. Notre Dame and Wake Forest had 7 players that tested positive on the Notre Dame side because of the coronavirus. So 7 out of 94 players, and now it looks like they're talking about rescheduling the game. Tell it, how many weeks do we got to go? And how many times are we going to have this conversation before somebody somewhere says, you know what, maybe starting college football wasn't the brightest idea?
Bro, I don't think they care, man. I think I got the message loud and clear. Even though I was screaming with my bullhorn from every rooftop I could find, I think they kept coming back with a resounding, "We don't care."
Right.
They kept saying that to us. Like they made us look a little asinine. They made us look like, oh, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Look, the kids want to play. Yeah, but they're kids. They're always going to want to do what they want to do. It takes the adult brain to say, that's not good for you. Not right now. Maybe later. Put that down. Do good. I'll get you that. It's the parent and the kid syndrome from day one. And I think us as parents were screaming it as soon as they said it. And then they kept saying in our face, "We don't care."
Right. Fig, what's your thoughts when you heard it?
Man, let me just tell you this. I'm going to go way back to March. When we first heard of the coronavirus. I didn't take it seriously. I was one of those, I was like, I don't think this thing is real. I was like, you know what? And the one caveat that I had to that is, I believe it's real when they shut down the schools. They shut down the schools, and I was like, something's going on. This is for real now, because they shut down the schools. So now they're shutting down the bars, they're shutting down the restaurants, they're shutting down major businesses, but they're opening the schools. Huh?
Right.
What you talking about? And just like Tyler said, you got to protect the kids from themselves. That's the bottom line. You got to protect the kids from themselves. Just like when the kid get ready to touch the stove, he's like, hot. They don't know what hot is. So you got to protect them from what hot is. This coronavirus is real.
Right.
You're going out there, you gathering in groups and stuff like that. You bound to get it. You mean to tell me you could talk a 20-year-old into not partying and hanging out with their friends, and they're away from home for the first time in their lives?
Right.
Not gonna happen.
Obviously, both of you guys made a lot of great points. One thing you didn't mention though is that it's money motivated. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think it's understood that though. Maybe that's why you didn't mention it. But it's definitely
that's
money.
It's obvious. It's obvious.
Yeah, money motivated. Anyway, we got to switch up now because, of course, this is the box seats. We got to talk about the biggest news besides what we already mentioned is that the Lakers played the Denver Nuggets last night. And we both know that the Lakers were looking at possible locking in the third game and, potentially possibly could even been a sweep. Talon, you predicted a sweep. Fig, you said that it wasn't going to be a sweep. Talon, I'm going to start with you. What was your thoughts after you saw the game? Because I'll throw it out there. The Lakers are 2.1 seconds away from being down 2-1, except now they're up 2-1. Reality sets in, they're up 2-1. Should the Lakers be concerned? Talon.
No. If I'm the Lakers, I'm far from concerned. I'm actually encouraged. You know why? Because 3 of those quarters of the game, if I'm the Lakers, until the end of the third quarter, I would have been worried. If the game ended right there, I'd have been shaking in my boots. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you go back up by 20 in the fourth quarter, no less. Fourth quarter is where teams throw in the towel and say, we'll get you next time. Mm-hmm. That's when you make sure nobody gets hurt and say, we'll get you next time. This particular game, Denver became the opposite team of what they've been showing us. They went up 20 and gave it all back in the fourth quarter. If the Lakers don't run out of gas, the Lakers go up 3-0. But they ran out of gas with 3.5 minutes left. And you know how you know? Anybody that play basketball will tell you, when you got big, strong guys that stop going to the rack, I'm out of fuel. So everything's a jump shot. Mm-hmm. Everything's a short jump, a three. Look at the last 3 to 4 minutes of play.
Right.
You know, LeBron was going to the rack at will all game. Mm-hmm. And then here we go. When we get within 2-3 points, nobody's going to the rack. I thought they ran out of gas.
Right. With that being said, speaking that you ran out of gas, Fig said yesterday on this show, you got to give him credit for saying credit where credit is due. He said yesterday on this show, he said, I will run the Lakers crazy and they're going to run out of gas towards the end of the game. So, Fig, you look like Nostradamus. So go ahead, Fig. Floor is yours.
Yeah, man, that's what I kept trying to tell you. I saw LeBron do something in the first quarter that was super. Like, he had about 2 or 3 plays where it looked like he was 20 years old. And then he needed to go sit down. Mm-hmm. Because gas is expensive at 35. You know what I'm telling you? The price of gas is high at 35 years old when you're trying to run with guys in their 20s. And just like you said, those guys play in spurts. Mm-hmm. LeBron plays in spurts. Rondo comes in spurts. And then you need to go sit down while these 20-year-olds are still running. AD thinks he's a KD. Well, you're not. He's not Kevin Durant. You're not the three-point shooter. You're not the Slim Reaper like Kevin Durant. No, you can shoot three-pointers, but you're better in the paint. You're better from mid-range. You're better putting the pressure on these guys and taking it to the hole. But he keeps shooting from the outside. Let me tell you something. The reason that I said what I said yesterday is because that three-pointer was fool's gold. That was fool's gold. You're not a three-point shooter, AD. You can hit them, but what's your percentage from 3?
Exactly.
It's in the 20s, which probably means you should shoot them if you absolutely have to.
Well,
but your his main place he needs to be is in the paint going to the rack because that's when he has his advantage.
He had to at that moment. But anyway, Talent, let me ask you this. Do you think Denver kind of sort of has the Lakers figured out now? Yeah, I mean, because the game, let's be realistic. Let's put our side of who we pick and everything else, and let's put all of it aside. Denver played horribly game 1. Denver played competitively game 2 and almost could have won that game. Denver played out of this world game 3. Do you think Denver has them figured out?
No.
Still not.
You gotta see what we do here after the game. We always go with the final thing. We don't pay attention to the little tangibles along the way. I pay attention to the tangibles along the way.
Okay.
If you had the Lakers figured out, you would not blow a 20-point lead more than once in the same damn game. Don't happen.
Yeah.
That just don't happen.
Right.
So if I got you up, I'm up by 20 somewhere in the beginning or middle or third. You make a run back, bring it within 10 or whatever. I go back up in the final quarter of basketball by 20 again, and even 20, and I give it back. You don't have me figured out.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Rope-a-dope. We got a better way. We got a better option, and we're better off giving Fig the credit of just running them till they tired. That right there is a fact we can't deny. As far as figured out, Muhammad Ali, you know what he did when he couldn't figure a box out? Rope-a-dope. I'm gonna let you throw yourself out, just like this right here. I'm gonna let you tire yourself out. I ain't got you figured out. You probably hit harder than me. You're probably more precise. So let me get on this rope, let you swing your energy out of yourself. And then, just then, only then, when I got you tired and wheezing, and still,
all right,
figure it out, Frank.
All right, so you're not budging off that Lakers, but I hear you. So before I even ask Fig the exact same question, you got Lakers in what, 6, 5?
6.
Okay, all right, Fig, same question.
Because at least they showed us. Because I'm one of those dudes that I'm not going to blame everything on the loser. I have to give the winner some credit. So if you give the winner some credit, you have to say to yourself, okay, we have a series now.
Exactly.
They could have easily laid down and went home and said, hey, man, we got this far. Nobody wanted us to get this far. They didn't lay down. I respect that. Okay. And they played and made this a series. So I'm going to give them benefit of doubt 6 games.
Okay, Fig, same exact question. Do you think Denver Nuggets have the Lakers figured out? I'll say it again. Denver was murdered game 1. Made it extremely competitive and should have won game 2. And actually did win game 3. What's your thoughts?
I think I don't know if they have them figured out, but the one thing that I do know, in game 1, they got bullied. In game 2, it was like, we're not gonna let y'all bully us. In game 3, they was like, we're gonna fight back. Mm-hmm. And I think the worst thing in the world that could have happened was game 2. Mm-hmm. When Anthony Davis hit what I would consider a Hail Mary. That was a Hail Mary as far as I'm concerned. It just happened to go in. Sometimes the Hail Mary wins, sometimes the Hail Mary loses. He had a Hail Mary. So I think Denver, I wouldn't say they figured them out, but they're not afraid. And you got these young boys, these young dogs with a lot of confidence. That's a scary opponent to play. You know, the bully is always the bully until the bullyee, the person that's being bullied, says, I'm not taking it anymore. Now I'm going to fight back. The bully never wants a fight. He just wants an easy prey. Denver is not going to be an easy out. They're just not going to be. I'm not saying that they're going to win, but guess what? I wouldn't bet again. I wouldn't put money on it.
First of all, it sounds like you used to be a bully.
No money on that.
All right, well,
Fig was a bully.
Let me throw this question to you then, and I want to change the dynamic of this conversation with the Lakers and obviously because OKC, we also know they let go of their coach. It kind of changed the dynamic when OKC let go of their coach, and then we've come to find out this morning that the Chicago Bulls have hired Billy Donovan, the former OKC coach. Talent. What was your thoughts when you heard that? Because I had been hearing the whole time that he was going to be head coach of the Sixers. So I'm like, whoa, wow. And if he had been the coach of the Sixers would have made some motion. But now he goes to Chicago. Chicago has Zach LaVine, and I think they might be able to do a little something. Talent. What's your thoughts on Chicago hiring Billy Donovan?
Well, nil. They're not nothing. I'm not happy, mad, sad, glad. I'm curious to how we keep playing musical chairs. Other than that. Again, how many times on the show are we talking about 6 or 7 guys waiting for an opportunity in the wings? We keep, instead of giving these opportunities and chances, we keep talking about social injustice, but we keep doing the same musical chairs, privileged musical chairs is what I call it.
Right.
Yeah, I know those 6 guys over there, but who's already working?
Right. Well, with that being said, before I continue on with this conversation and jump this in, I have to bring in the queen of Black Hollywood. Let me introduce you to everybody out there. Mrs. Jayne Kennedy Overton. She's an actress, a producer, philanthropist, and most importantly, one of my most favorite things, she was a CBS sports commentator. Mrs. Overton, thank you for joining the show. We appreciate you. How are you doing today?
Frank, how are you? I'm glad that you thought of me. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm honored to be on the show. Hey guys, how are you all?
How are you? First of all of that stuff in the intro, you left out the world's biggest crush. Okay. Everybody who knows this woman right here, that's why we said queen, because I don't know in the history, has there been a bigger, most profound, iconic, beautiful woman up front like that. I applaud you. Thank you for everything you gave to the culture.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Get some tissue and wipe your mouth. You're drooling.
Okay, sorry.
I should have recorded that because I can use that in my intro because that was pretty late.
Well, Tyler, I wouldn't say anything like that because Bill and her, we're good friends. I ain't gonna say, "Oh, I'm crushing." No, that's my man's wife. I'm not gonna do that. But I wouldn't do that. But Mrs. Overton, thank you for joining the show.
I'll give him a note and tell you what he said.
I wanted to ask you, being that, of course, you were notable for being in sports broadcasting days. Do you think now, with what's going on with the NFL playing, baseball being where they're at, things like that, do you think the coronavirus is going to eventually shut down the NFL season? Are we going to actually complete the NFL season? And I'm asking you this because you're a sports commentator. You work with CBS Sports. You know the inner workings of the NFL, especially old school NFL. You know that, at least I would expect that you would know their thought process from behind the scenes, other than what most normal people know.
Okay, so it's been 40 years since I was a sports broadcaster. So everything was very, well, I can't say everything because I was going to say everything was very different way back then. But when you're talking about in the industry, in the sports and entertainment industry, it's a completely different scene. I mean, we only had 3 networks back then, and now you have your show, that it has the opportunity to stream and your voices can be heard. Right. So, I really, I cannot tell you what the NFL knows, what their plans are, what their inner workings are. I don't have that access. I would hope, as a fan of the sport, I would hope that there would be a competent plan in place. As a human being, I would hope that there would be a competent plan in place. I would think that it would be a shame if they were not prepared for that. I can't even imagine that they would not be prepared for that. And I'm a very strong advocate of wear your mask.
Yes.
And, especially what they did last weekend, we had 3 head coaches that were fined because they didn't wear their mask on the sideline. And those were hefty fines. I mean, you're talking about, yeah. You don't have to put your mask on.
I don't trust Big.
Okay. But the coach was fined $100,000. The team was fined $200,000, and in 3 incidents, that's like sending a serious message that we are not playing. And I appreciate that message. I think that that's the right thing to do. I would love to know what their plan is. When you're talking about college football, I know there's a lot of guys. I mean, all your life, you've been patted on the back. If you're good enough to make it in college, if you're good enough to make it in the NFL, you want to play. I mean, you've been patted on your back since you were 6 years old, in Pop Warner, middle school, high school, and you want that opportunity to do what you know you can do best. And I applaud that, but I just think that when you have collegiate athletes who are not getting paid to play the game, it's completely different than the NFL. And so with the collegiate athletes, for me, I would want to say that their health comes primary. I know they don't want to hear that. A lot of them don't want to hear that. but I probably can guarantee you that a lot of mom and dads would like to hear that.
And that's the take that I had. All the box seat fans out there, once again, we are talking with the incomparable Jayne Kennedy Overton. I'm going to ask the question because I'm super curious, like I know a lot of people are. How does a superstar actress, Hollywood actress of your caliber, make that transition or switch into the broadcasting? Now, was that you? Did somebody suggest it? Was it an epiphany? Like, because that's not a likely transition. You shocked me when I was like, well, okay. Well, how does that come about?
It's a long story, probably much longer than you're right here. I'm writing an autobiography. I'm almost finished, and the whole story will be in the autobiography. But
nice.
It's all plain Jane, and hopefully it'll be out next year. Then we can come back on the show and talk about it.
Okay.
But primarily, I went to Hollywood in 1971. I'd been working as an actress for 6.5 years, singer, dancer. This was the 70s, and the opportunities for African-American females in the industry were not what they are today. So you had, basically it was like, if you got a job that was a well-paying job, and let's say it was starring in a movie, you're only going to get like $10,000 to star in a movie back in the 70s. And you got people now making $10 million to star in a movie. So it was very different culture. And everybody kept telling me, you're never going to be success in the industry unless you stick to one thing. Well, nobody does that anymore. That's changed as well. But back then, I was singer, dancer, model. I did a bunch of stuff. I produced stuff. If there weren't movies to be made, we made them. So, those are the things that you had to do. When the opportunity came around and I heard that the NFL Today was looking for a female for the desk, I grew up in sports. My dad wanted sons, and he got 5 daughters before he finally got a son. And so he would drag us to everything. I watched every Friday night. We would watch wrestling. My mom would make steak and white rice, and we'd sit in front of the TV, and we would watch Bobo Brazil, Haystack Muldoon, and we would watch them. And then my dad would, and Jim Brown was starring in the NFL at that time. Yes. I grew up in Cleveland. I was a Cleveland Browns fan. So, how can I not be into sports? So when that opportunity came around, it was like a dream job. Mm-hmm. To have the opportunity to sit and interview these superheroes, for nobody else, for my dad,
Right,
but my agent told me that they were not looking for someone who was not a journalist, which didn't quite jive with me because they didn't have opportunities for Blacks and women journalists either. Mm-hmm. So, I begged and begged and begged. They kept submitting lists and never submitted me. So I ended up going outside. I talked to Jim Brown, who introduced me to Bob Stenner, who was a field producer for CBS. And he introduced me to George Wallach, who was the manager of Bruce Jenner at the time. And George Wallach called me in and introduced me to Linda Sutter, who was the head of talent for CBS Sports. So I just wanted to do it because I loved sports and I knew I could do the job and I had contacts. So I'd never done live television before. So that was new for me. That I had to learn. When CBS, at the audition, there were like 16 girls. 15 were blonde. They weren't looking for someone like me. So that was obvious. But I just relaxed. I kicked back and I had a great job. I did the interview with Brent, interviewing an athlete, delivering copy on teleprompter. And they all said that they loved me and they wanted to hire me, but they wouldn't because that would mean that there are 2 Blacks on the show and 1 white. Because it was their
Yeah, that.
So they sent my audition tape to the Southern affiliates and asked them, what do you think? And the answer came back, we'll put Jimmy the Greek on the desk and that way it'll be 2 and 2. So
I remember Jimmy the Greek.
That's great. I can't wait to read that in the book. That's a great story.
I can't wait to read that. Go ahead, Vic, you up.
Man, I'm blown away by what she's already said. I mean, listen, as an icon and a pioneer you have kicked open the door for a lot of the females that we see in sports today. So as one of the first women, can you tell us what would, if you have, what would be some of your favorite memories that you have from being a sportscaster at CBS?
Oh, wow. Okay. There's a lot. One of the best things was that it also led for me to be the co-host of Greatest Sports Legends, and they had never had a female host, and that ran for 30 years. And usually they would, one host per season. And I hosted the show for 3 years, which was also a first. But, to be able to sit down with your superheroes, they'd been trying to get Bill Russell on the show for years, and he kept saying no. And so when I got on the show, they called and they said, Jayne Kennedy is doing the interview, and she's our host. And he said, yes, I'll be there. So when he got there, I said, okay, Bill, why are you doing the show? And he said, because you're the beginning of your legacy, and I want to be a part of it. And I didn't understand that at the time. I mean, you're in the moment. You don't realize, I was on airplanes and hotels and very seldom had a chance to actually communicate with anybody outside of the studio. And it wasn't, women would come up to me and say, oh, I want my daughter to grow up and be like you. You're a role. I didn't get it. I was just working, and I was just loving what I was doing. And so then, now I am 30, 40 years later, and I get it. And I know the significance of having that role model, of having a Black woman on TV that your children can emulate. I had the opportunity to talk to Oprah Winfrey about certain aspect of my autobiography that I wanted her advice on. And she said, Jayne, we used to sit, Gail and I used to sit in front of our TV, and we would watch you on TV, and we would jump up and down screaming, color people on TV, color people on TV. And it made us feel that we could do it too. And that kind of shocked me because again, you're in the moment and you don't realize it. And then a year and a half ago, a friend of mine on Facebook sent me a message. I was at the Smithsonian Museum of African American History and Culture, and look what I found. And he sent me a picture of me on the wall with Nat King Cole, Diana Ross. Did I say Diane Carroll? Yeah. Nichelle Nichols. And it was there was like it was like a pioneer media wall in the Oprah Winfrey exhibit. And it had her quote right next to my picture, color people on TV, color people on TV. And then it talked about how Black is beautiful, and Black women were not allowed the opportunity to be beautiful within their own skin. And so it was just the fact that here I was in 1978, 79, 80, on through the mid 80s, and I'm being hired by Coca-Cola to be a spokeswoman. And I'm thinking, I'm being hired by Revlon, by Jovan. And it was basically the first time that they had acknowledged that an African-American female could in fact be the face of corporate America in Fortune 50 corporations. So, that sort of began with the NFL Today. So the NFL Today was, I knew, I had been an actress for 7 years. I knew the NFL Today would make me a household name. I knew the NFL Today would be big for me. I never in my wildest dreams could imagine how big it really was.
Well, Mrs. Overton, thank you for taking up the time for doing the show. I promised I would only ask for 15 minutes of your time. And I have to say that of the three of us sitting here, when your book is ready to go, I hate to be so forward, but if we could get a signed copy, we'll support. But we would like definitely the book.
If I could just mention one other thing, I'll do it in 30 seconds. Please go vote. Everyone, please go vote. I definitely, Shirley Chisholm was my role model. People say, "Did you grow up wanting to be Miss Ohio?" I said, "Oh, heck no. I wanted to be Shirley Chisholm." But that was important to me. And what do we expect from our president? What would you expect you to do if you were president? Do you want to be, with a good conscience, or do you want to be somebody who just forgets about everybody else? And so to me, I would love to be able to, if LeBron James called me and said, "Hey, we want you to join us in Ohio. Ohio's home. You're a Buckeye. We want, we're fighting against voter suppression." I'd join in a heartbeat. Wow. I would join in a heartbeat. I left a message with Jamie Harrison. "Let me know what you need me to do. My maiden name is Harrison, and he's running for the Senate in South Carolina against Lindsey Graham. We need to defeat Lindsey Graham. It's not just the president we're voting for. Up and down the ticket, read your voter pamphlet. Get all the information that you can. If you're sick and tired of the way it is, then you have to be the one to effectuate change."
Absolutely.
Well, Mrs. Overton, thank you for taking our time. That was absolutely beautiful. Hopefully, I'm going to beg your husband if we get you to come back again, because we have so much more we'd like to ask you. Sure. I'm not going to ask for tomorrow, but I'm definitely going to ask.
Well, I have to say this too. I wore my special shirt, Miracles, because I believe in miracles. So we can't succeed with COVID. We can't succeed in the election. We can succeed in all the social injustice. You have to just stick to it, and you have to use your voice. But miracles can happen.
Well, there you have it right there. The first African-American Miss Ohio. You couldn't have said it any better. Vote, 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 vote.
Amen.
Thank you for joining the show. I really greatly appreciate it. Hopefully we can have you back. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Before tell everybody how to follow you. You find out about. Are you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook at Jayne Kennedy Overton. Mm-hmm. I'm on Instagram at Jayne Kennedy Overton. Let's make it simple. And I'm on Twitter, which I don't necessarily do Twitter. I'm not one to just talk to people. So Twitter's kind of not my thing. But I am on Twitter at Plain Jayne, which Plain Jayne, I think it's Plain Jayne KO, but it's Plain Jayne.
Well, we'll find out. There you all have it. That's the Queen, Miss Jayne Kennedy.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you for joining the show. That's Miss Jayne Kennedy on Box Seats. We got to continue to move this show along. You guys know how we do. First of all, before I even continue to move on the show, I am completely floored. We had the Queen on the show, and
yes, sir.
You don't know, if you're watching this show and you don't know, let me just tell you, she broke down so many doors, not only just in entertainment and also for sports. All of the Black women you're watching right now on ESPN, Fox Sports, all that, you were looking at the first. We've never seen a Black woman do sports until Mrs. Overton did it, and to me, that was phenomenal. Can't wait to even read that in her book. What do you think, Talent? What you think about that?
So I think so. You really scared to tell Bill, her husband, that you had a crush on her?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say that.
But
I wouldn't say
that. Bill has to know. He has to know that. When I tell you she was the biggest American crush, I mean across the board, like not just black, white, but just straight across the board.
Yes. Yeah. And she's still a beautiful woman. She's still
she's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
She's nice.
Yes. Absolutely love it. Absolutely. Fig,
and that's not the only reason he's afraid, Talent. He's afraid because his wife got some brand new cast iron frying pans in there too.
Yeah, that's very, very, very true. Now we got to be ready to move on because I want to just be able to move on to my man, because Mr. Rodney Perry comes in, and when he comes in, he always talks about what he disagrees or what he agrees about. So let's add him to the show. Mr. Rodney Perry, how we talked about the Lakers. We had a great guest on. And first of all, how you doing this morning, Mr. Rodney Perry? Okay.
Uh-oh. Get some water.
I normally don't trip on y'all how your little guests and whatnot, but and I realize, I just come in, do my little segment, get out. But you had Jayne Kennedy on?
Yeah.
And I mean, You had Jayne Kennedy on, Frank, and you asked me about LeBron James.
Sorry.
Helen said it all. He said she was everybody's crush, but not Rodney Perry. He got to sit on the sideline.
That's hilarious.
All right. Well, here goes. It was a tough night for the Lakers, and they lost. They lost, and it's not over. It's so not over. Fig said they ran out of gas. Maybe they did. Maybe they ran out of gas. Gail Sayers is gone, man.
Yeah, man.
My Bear fan. It's a tough day. Who next? Thelma from Good Times?
Oh no! Don't say that.
Who next?
Lord, no, not
Who Rodney Perry out? Who coming on tomorrow? Cardi B? I'm gonna be on the sideline on that too. Now I gotta sit here and try to figure out what Fig said stupid. I know he said something, but I can't even focus. Miss Jayne Kennedy, you a beautiful woman, 69 years old, still fine.
Yeah.
69 years old. And I saw Frank looking at her sideways. I saw it. I don't care who listening, Mr. Overton. I don't give a shit.
No.
Oh man.
I'm looking on Facebook. Your wife putting all type of emojis on Facebook. I see it. You in trouble.
Yeah.
Tell on you, Frank. You deserve it till y'all figure something out. When y'all got certain people in, y'all need to get me in there. I got all type of questions. Miss Jayne Kennedy, she was the head of the black exploitation era. She covered that. She did TV. She was Miss Ohio, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I love the Ohio players.
Yes.
All right.
I love Ohio players. Oh gosh.
I will close out with this. Fig did say something incredibly asinine and might be the worst collective of words I ever heard put together. He drew an analogy to the dumb kid, to some type of child, and something he said. I get foggy. Something Fig said about, you know how to keep a kid from touching the stove or something.
Yeah.
What type of dumbass kid don't know what something? Why would you say that? That doesn't have nothing to do with what we was talking about. I did predict the sweep. I was wrong, but I did not put my glasses on to check.
Oh God.
I did it willy-nilly. So let's consult the future.
Uh-oh.
Let's consult the future before I get out of here.
Uh-oh. So
right.
it's that time. It's that time.
Wow. Oh, wow. I can see it already.
It's the time.
Uh-oh. Frank Holder, this for you.
Uh-oh.
Get out of here. I see Mr. Overton punching you in the face, Frank. Talking about, I saw you looking at my wife. Yeah, that's crazy. I would be careful next time you go to the barbecue.
Oh man.
Yeah, with them their friends. And also I predict on tomorrow. Now this is, I usually look further out, but on tomorrow, wow, this is crazy. Talent, you probably won't even believe this. Fig is gonna say something stupid.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Oh, look, something else. It's just in.
Oh,
Next time y'all have a fine guest, y'all gonna bring me on.
Rodney Perry, that's Rodney Perry, y'all, with our segment called I Disagree. Rodney Perry.
I disagree.
That's Rodney Perry, y'all. You catch it back tomorrow. I disagree. And if you didn't know, now you know. We gotta keep the show rolling. That's what we do. And of course, we gotta continue on with the conversation. Now, being that this is a sports comedy show, I'm gonna just go up and throw this out there. I don't even know how to even phrase it, but let me just say it, and then you all tell me what you think. Okay, Tyrod Taylor, the quarterback for the LA Chargers, right? He gets hurt pregame. You follow me? He gets hurt pregame. Yeah. Okay, all right. The doctor of the team accidentally punctures his lung. So now they say, okay, we don't know how long he's going to be out. We have no idea. News breaks this morning. His lung is punctured. Now, personally, I would feel a whole lot like about suing the team, doing all because that's your lung. That's something that can affect your life. Forget about your playing career, affect your life. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. Talent, your eyes say a lot. Tell me what your thoughts are if you're Tyrod Taylor and you're the quarterback of the Chargers right now, and you find out, because you get a second medical opinion, you find out the team doctor punctured your lung accidentally.
First of all, that's a bad thing to puncture in the regular world, right? But this is COVID world.
Right.
The lung, bruh, that's another $200 million check. If you damage my lung in an era where the lung, that's COVID right there, the respiratory virus. Right. So now you just made this brother have the biggest pre-existing condition in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
Oh, I'm suing, bro. The NFL got to pay out the wazoo at this point. This brother don't know when he's coming back.
I'm with you on that one. Because the word is thrown up in the air. Fig, I can almost tell by your reaction that you ain't liking that. What you're hearing about that?
Hey, man, I don't like it for another reason, man. Not I 100,000% agree with what Talent said, man, because that's crazy. But now think about this. Think about the person that's supposed to follow up Tyrod Taylor, this young rookie that come in and take his place and is balling out.
Justin Herbert. I
know Justin Herbert. So like, I'm almost thinking like, was this something that was done sort of intentionally to sabotage Tyrod Taylor so Justin Herbert can come in?
No, I don't think
How you accidentally puncture a lung?
No, but this is what I will say. It makes a whole lot of sense on why Coach Anthony Lynn, after the game, or immediately after the game, say, no matter what happens, we're going to go back to Tyrod Taylor when he comes back, because he doesn't want his quarterback to go out with injury and lose his job for injury. Because you know how the head coaches stick with you if you, except for your Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, Drew Bledsoe goes down, next man up. Oh, too bad. He lost his job. Bill Belichick besides. But now it makes a whole lot of sense. Now, also, I'm even thinking that maybe he's saying that so he can show some team loyalty, so there's no lawsuit that might come out there. I mean, like Talon said, we're talking about the lung, right, Talon?
Yeah, that's bad in the general sense. But now, in this sense, do you understand how scary that? Like, you automatically put him, even if it's not deadly right now, it's deadly for him now because of the COVID situation. You know what I mean? But like Fig said, conspiracy theorists will go that route of thinking, because I got two words for you, man. This looks like a man-made Drew Bledsoe situation. Just somebody goes out. Now, granted, he had a real live in the miss injury. Now you go in there for one thing, they injure another thing, and gonna do a football. But this young guy like you say, he's balling out right now. He goes crazy. Let's say fast forward 6-7 weeks down the line, Tyrod's not coming back and getting that job if this boy's balling out that many weeks in a row.
See, I beg to differ. I think he will, because I think the team will be paranoid, petrified, that he's going to sue the team and do other things?
I think the lawsuits, regardless, that's inevitable.
All right. Yeah, I think you're right about that. What you think, Fig?
Man, I think you ought to sue him anyway, man. You punctured my lung. He twisted his ankle. How you get his lung punctured? You know what I'm saying? Why is it that when you go to the doctor for one thing, they always finding something else? I got an earache and he got a punctured lung now. I'm like, what are you talking about? You punctured my lung. Why was you even looking down there?
Hold on, you think
got nothing to do with what I got injured for?
Hey, Fig, you think that's bad, Fig? Where did they find out it was a dentist that did it?
All right, y'all. So Monday night, right? There's a big game coming up between the Chiefs and the Ravens, and a lot of people are having a hard time letting go that the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. Honestly, I think the Ravens and the Cardinals are up there as the top two teams. I mean, you could say that the Chiefs are up there in the top three, but they don't even look like they're in the top three, to be honest with you. Their defense gave up way too many yards, and Ravens didn't give up nothing. Now, Talent, question for you. Do you think the Ravens should be rated number one and is the best team in football or not? What's your thoughts on that?
I give the Ravens a second to third slot, not number one.
Okay.
Who you got? Not number one. Again, I'm watching them. They had that one stupendous week and then one cool week. But again, we're so early in this preseason. I would give them on my chart right now. They're still ranking 2 or 3. Like it could flip flop.
Okay, who you got number one?
And man, listen, I'm
always
of the frame of mind.
Hold on, Fig. You got Chiefs number one?
Chiefs still want team to beat.
Okay. Fig, you got. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Fig,
yeah, I mean, I'm in a frame of mind, and like until you knock off the champion, they still the champion. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't care what they look. I don't care how bad they look. If a team, this is NFL football. At the end of the day, you just got to find a way to win, whether it's on offense, defense, whatever. However you win is how you win. And so far as I'm concerned, the Chiefs are still 2-0. Until somebody beat them, they still the champs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I can't put somebody in the number one place over 2 weeks with no preseason, no practice hardly in a COVID era. Like, how am I just going to knock? I'm just going to knock them down. How you knock KC down?
Right.
Like, what did they do to get knocked down? Because they didn't score a whole lot of your 5,000 yards. Like, come on. They still winning. Let's see. We're going to find out on Monday.
Yeah, we will. So is Green Bay in your top 3, Talent? I mean, I'm interested in thinking because I know you do the picks. I know that. I mean, we're going to get the picks later on this week. Is Green Bay in your top 3?
Green Bay and the Ravens are flip-flop to me. Either one could be 2 or 3 right now.
Oh, okay. All right, Fig, same thing with you?
Not Green Bay, not to me, man. I'm looking at this kid, Kyler Murray, man. This kid ain't been touched. He's only 2 games, but I'm like, yo, he came along. Now we're not talking quarterbacks. We're talking the whole entire team.
Right. We're talking about the entire team.
I mean, yo, I got the Ravens, I got Kansas City, and the Cardinals, man. Those are my top 3 right now until I see somebody got knocked off. I mean, I love Aaron, but I mean, they ain't really helping him out. None. They just drafted a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. In Philadelphia, it seems like people are really upset at the Philadelphia Eagles, how the Eagles are playing. They're really angry. They don't think Carson Wentz is going to last the entire season because he's getting hit. He's getting pummeled, to be honest with you. He's getting pummeled the first 2 games. So I take that with you clapping, Talent. You don't even think they're going to even forget it. You're going to think that they're not even going to make the playoffs at the rate they're going.
Playoffs?
No, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Plus, remember, I'm the guy that said, they jinxed themselves from the Super Bowl that they actually won. Ever since then, they put themselves in such a jinx hole. You went back to this Wentz guy. When Foles took you through it, the team got rallied behind him. I've never seen a team so quickly get rallied behind somebody through the playoffs and the Super Bowl and play hard. Philly was looking like a top-tier contender. And then you had a little popcorn, Twizzlers at the movie theater and came back and said, Wentz is our starting quarterback. What movie did you go see? Because I just seen the Philadelphia Super Bowl movie. How are you in the front office of the team and say, we're going back to – I think sometimes people invest and bet on somebody so much that no matter what, they think they got to force that issue. This is sports, man. Don't force nothing. Don't force nothing. Let it naturally play out. The sports gods will show you what it's supposed to be.
Big.
Yeah, man, he's absolutely right, man. I see. A lot of guys think that you can get rid of players, you can get rid of veterans and stuff like that, and the game, the game would be okay. It's not necessarily true. On every team, every winning team, you got to understand they have a little bit of luck, some talent, and chemistry, and that's what wins championships. The Eagles had chemistry until they got rid of their quarterback and a few other players. It was just like I always, Frank, I know you're a Celtics fan, but I go back to when Celtics got rid of Kendrick Perkins. You know what I mean? And they had Big Baby, Kendrick Perkins. I mean, these guys played for each other. They liked each other. You move this player because you think you could get a better player, but what you actually doing is you breaking up the chemistry of the team because they like each other, they play for each other, and you know what this guy's going to do, where he's going to be. He's going to ride for you, and then you get rid of him, and it's like a hole. It's almost like missing a family member. Well, because these guys spend a lot of time together, and they become like family, especially when you win it.
But the problem is, being a GM, you have to look in the future for what's going to happen next year. You can't look and play. You can't make the decisions for the team today without looking into the future about, and sometimes you miss, sometimes you hit. You know what I mean? You can't, the GM's job in any sport is extremely difficult. But I think the top two things to be difficult, and it could be others, but I think it's definitely the NFL and it's definitely the NBA.
That's a good point Frank made. Frank made the best point when he said, even while we're looking into what works now, you have to look into how things are going to be for the future and prepare. Yeah. That's what a good GM does. Like, it's the same thing in a relationship, Fig. I'm a single man. I'm out there when I'm dating a woman and she got nice booty. I'm like, how that's going to look though 5 years from now?
That's not what
it depends on what your feet are, talent. I mean, the thing is, look, they got rid of Kendrick Perkins mid-season. It was during the season. You don't get rid of your players during the season. You don't try and build the chemistry during the regular season. Listen, they made some horrible moves. Because here's the thing: you got rid of Kendrick Perkins, you didn't win anything. You never won anything after the day you got rid of Kendrick Perkins. You never won anything after.
I told you though. Kendrick Perkins was not the reason why they started losing. Was they traded the guard? It started downhill from there.
Okay, that too. But I'm just saying, I like enforcers.
Hold on. Yes, Kendrick Perkins was the second fall, but he was at that time they traded him. He was getting injured a lot, so they were like, you know what? Let's make a swap for big man for a big man. They thought it was a good idea, and they never got close to being back there. Well, now they're about to be, but they never got this close since.
But then. You can't say it's Kendrick Perkins because he's a role player alone. You know what I mean? Like, for that reason alone.
You can't. Bro, we got to get ready to wrap the show. But before we wrap the show,
I'm going to let y'all go ahead. Go ahead. You don't want me to say nothing. Go on.
I'm going to let you.
Go on.
Pick your pick for the night. Pick your pick for the night before we roll out. We got Celtics in Miami. Who you got for the night?
Me?
Yeah. You go first.
I got the Celtics. I got the Celtics winning game, another one, and tying it up.
Okay. What about you now?
Same thing. I got the Celtics making this thing a series. I think we're looking at East and West. We're kind of looking at replicas.
Okay.
Let's look at what happened. Both teams jump out 2-0. The next game, the team gets game 3, makes it a series. We turn to the West Coast. Same thing. 2-0. Next team come out, get game 3. We're looking at a series. We're looking at a replica. I think, guys. I think on East and West, we're gonna have 2 6-game series at least. I think this is some of the best basketball we've seen. Listen, barring we can survive and not, pass out or pass away from COVID, this is going to be the best basketball playoffs, man, in a long time.
That's why I'm not leaving the house. I'm staying home.
You're a smart man, Vic. I'm not going to any dentist and worry about them puncturing my lung. I tell you that.
With that being said, tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
You can follow me at my dentist page. My dentist is on Twitter at It's Just Comedy. He's on IG as Talent the Comedian. And my dentist is on Facebook, Talent, NY King Talent Harris.
He said dentist.
You can follow me on all social media platforms at Comedian Fig, man. I'll be on Talent's page too. And if my dentist got anything long enough to puncture my lung, I ain't going back.
Well, that's it. That's a wrap. Before I go, I got to thank Rodney Perry for joining the show. I got to thank talent. I got to thank Fig. But most importantly, I got to thank the queen, Miss Jayne Kennedy Overton, for joining the show and breaking down some stuff for us, giving us behind the scenes look at her career and things like that. That was phenomenal. You're watching the show called The Box Seats. We're on every day from Monday through Friday, 1 to 2. This is also on the Humor Mill app, the Humor Mill channel. You can download the Humor Mill, or you can look for us on a lot of platforms. We're there. I'm Frank. That's Talent. That's Fig. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Same bat time, same bad channel.